Hi, are you ready to break some barriers? Well, I am. Yeah, I am. So here we go. Disability. What do we think of when we think of disability? A lot of times we might think of physical barriers or developmental or mental barriers, but that makes us think that there's people out there that have a disability and I do not. I'm normal and they're not. Well, we are here to break the barriers and have a new understanding of that word disability. There can be social disabilities, emotional disabilities, financial disabilities, and even spiritual disabilities. And these disabilities can separate us from friends, people, we might make ourselves unapproachable because of them, might even separate ourselves from families, and even our God. And so disabilities, when we think of that, now you're in trouble because my ability in disability is talking a lot. And this 8 minutes is going to be very tough for me. And that's my ability also. And people might not want to come up to me if they don't have a lot of time because they know I'm going to take up a lot of their time. My husband will tell you that he has a great ability of service. I'll tell you that too. If you need a tree stump pulled out of your yard, he will dig as deep as those roots go and he'll pull out that tree stump for you. And then on the other hand, he'll say his disability is anger. He gets angry easy, and then it's hard for him to forgive others. And if people know that about my husband, and they think he's angry, then he's unapproachable. They might not approach him. But we have all kinds of gifts and abilities. Can you see how our strengths are another person's weakness possibly? Well, my husband, I know he's angry. I'm going to send in my friend Jared Schmidt, because Jared Schmidt wakes up every day. His ability is joy. He has a gift of joy. And I'll say, hey, Jared, go in there and say hi to Steve. It's only 1 minute that I hear my husband laughing and cracking up because he benefited from Jared's gift of joy. Now, Jared has Down syndrome. We call it UP syndrome. And Jared has a gift of love for all people, and we've seen that around the world. Now, when it comes to barriers in life, I'm experienced with barriers that happened with our family. My sister also has Down syndrome, and she's 52 years old, and I'm 5 years older, so I'll let you do the math. And a long time ago, I can remember as a 7-year-old little girl, my parents sitting my brother and I down to tell us my sister is mongoloid. That's the word back then that we heard. I was worried. I said, Mom, I thought she's American. Isn't she American? And then my brother was worried. She has a disease. Is she going to die? What's mongoloid? And I love that my parents said, all that means is she's going to need extra love and maybe more time to learn things. And so being an older sister that's 5 years older, I couldn't wait to do things with her, and I had this love for her right away. And that word Down syndrome has been my best teacher, my best education, my whole life. But back then, I would see what my parents went up against when they tried to sign up my brother and I and my sister for like swimming lessons at Fresno High School, or boating at Roding Park, or maybe it was tennis at Romaine Playground. I would hear people say to my parents, we could take your 2 older children, but we don't work with those kind of people. I heard it many different ways. She's so cute. Isn't there a special place for people like that? We don't do that here. And the tomboy that I was, it's like, what do you mean? She could swim. How come she can't swim? So my parents had to teach me, Deb, if you want to change the world, you got to make them want to join your party. You got to make them think that that is the place to be and make it look fun. And so Kathy became, actually I became her road manager, and she'd entertain people, and she had this great deal, and it would draw them in. People ask around the world, how can God allow a disability? How can God allow someone maybe that has some medical needs that are in pain? Well, I have stories from all the years of experience, 29 years with Break the Barriers, our nonprofit corporation. The best story I have to explain that is one time our team was asked to perform in juvenile hall. And when we went in there, you know, I thought, okay, yes, we'll go. And when we went in there, you could hear a pin drop. We were waiting for the young men and young women to come in. They came in and lined up on this side, the young men did, and the young women were on this side. And when I went over to shake the hands of the guys, I got permission. I wanted to tell them, you're going to see something amazing today. You're going to see ability. And I love when people are honest with their thoughts. They said, oh yeah, look at that guy with no legs. Look at that person in a wheelchair. Isn't that one retarded over there? And I love when they speak out, because once they see what the team has to offer, it hits them harder. And I said, but you wait until the music starts. When that music starts, you're going to see ability. And then I went over to shake this girl's hand, and she was like 6 foot tall. She should have been playing basketball or volleyball somewhere. When I went up to shake her hand, she pulled her hand out of mine, and she said, who do you think you are that makes you think you can touch me? Physically, she's poking my chest, and she said, what makes you think you can step into my world and touch me? And don't think I wasn't praying. You know, I'm praying, oh Lord, you know, in Taekwondo, God, is it high block? What do I do here? You know, she's coming at me. And then I feel this tap on my back. If you touch me here, it's like a button. My whole life, I'm 5 years older than my sister, she'd come running up behind me and put her hand on the small of my back, and I'd go, oh, Kathy. Well, here I am getting poked in the chest. I feel this tap, and I look down, and here's my sister. And either an angel whispered in Kathy's ear, your sister needs help, or if you know anybody with Down syndrome, she just wanted to get in on the action. And so I looked down at Kathy, and I looked down at this tall girl, and I said, this is my sister Kathy, and she loves to give hugs. I backed up, and the girl, you know, she was starting to back up, but we discovered traveling around the country with our team that there's a Down syndrome law. If you mention the word hug, Kathy's going to step in and hang on until you hug back. That's a Down syndrome law. So the girl tried to back away, but Kathy just held on. And the girl's like this, dragging my sister with her. And then the girl looked down, and my sister looked up with a big smile on her face, and the girl went, I love her. Oh, I love her. And I can say to you that I believe that my sister was created absolutely perfect for the purpose that she's been called for. And I can say to you that I believe God's given her all the equipment that she needs to do what she's supposed to do on this earth. You see, I didn't have the right equipment. They saw in me someone that might judge them, someone that might not accept them. They saw in my sister Kathy her gift that she was created for. Her 100% unconditional love and acceptance came out of my sister. So I'm no dummy. Come on, Kathy, let's meet everybody. And I found this to be true around the world. And we have all kinds of barriers that we face, but I have to tell you, whether we're in Romania or China or South Africa or Dominican Republic or India, parents around the world pray the same prayer, that their child will be accepted in this world and that they will have an opportunity to develop the gifts that they've been given. Can you imagine with your gifts that you have, if you are not allowed to have the opportunity to develop those gifts, you would become disabled by the world. What if opportunity came to you and you didn't take that opportunity? You would become disabled by yourself. I'm here today to ask you a question. All remove that line and recognize the gifts and abilities in all people, and remove that line of who's able and who's disabled. And who gets to decide that to begin with? Who is more disabled? Someone who cannot talk, but is a friend to all people, or someone who can talk, but only uses their words to hurt people? Who's more disabled? Someone who's blind and loves everyone, maybe because they see no differences, or someone who can see, but all they see are differences. Who's more disabled? Someone who can't go up and down stairs because they experience a physical need of some kind, like maybe they're in a wheelchair, but they will try anything and give 100% with the gifts that they have. Or someone like many of you that have been blessed with a healthy body, but you refuse to try, and you don't use all the gifts that you've been given. You might even be robbing yourself of the joy of knowing what could be if you would have tried something. Who's more disabled? Someone who is deaf and does not have an interpreter to receive the message from the keynote speaker, professor, or teacher, but they have a strong desire to learn. Or someone who can hear, but they refuse to listen. And then I want to ask you, who's more disabled? Someone like my sister Kathy, who the world might say her brain is not normal, or her brain functions slower. But my sister Kathy with Down syndrome will love any one of you in here unconditionally and will forgive you like that. Or someone who's been blessed with a very intelligent mind, but they're also very closed-minded, and they're quick to judge, and they become our barrier because they don't give us a chance to see how far or how high people can fly with the gifts and abilities that they have been given. So something for you to think about is who is more disabled. And it's our prayer that we will all learn to look beyond what we think we see. Look beyond what society tells us to see. Look beyond that. Because inside, we might see ability. And don't be the person that disables others to reaching their full potential. Something to think about. Thank you very much.